Hey y'all, I'm Robin Barnes, the New Orleans Songbird, and we are here for the making of Super Bowl 59 at the beautiful Superdome. This will be the 11th Super Bowl in New Orleans. New Orleans is known for its vibrant culture, rich history, and amazing music, if I do say so myself. In this series, we're going to show you how the Super Bowl comes to life. This episode is all about the Super Bowl 59 Ambassador Program, presented by Chevron. Ambassadors are the volunteers who are responsible for the welcoming of hundreds of thousands of fans and visitors to New Orleans during Super Bowl week. First, we'll talk to Craig Forshag, Director of Sales for the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and Super Bowl 59 Host Committee, about what makes this ambassador program unique. Then, Leah Brown, Public Affairs Manager of Chevron's Gulf of Mexico Business Unit, tells us about their partnership on this program. Let's get started. Hey y'all, I am here with Craig Forshag, Director of Sales for the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation and Super Bowl 59 Host Committee. Craig, thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me, what is your role?
Sure. My role, quite honestly, is very wide in scope. It depends on the day. For the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, Director of Sales encompasses a lot, whether it's fundraising for the organization through our raffle or event sales on behalf of the organization, bidding on the events, kind of acting as the liaison between the event owners and the sports foundation itself, and having the opportunity to put those bids together. But for Super Bowl, my position kind of shifts a little bit, and I turn into more of a volunteer manager, and I have the opportunity to manage the ambassador program, as we're calling it, for the New Orleans Super Bowl Host Committee.
Tell me about what is the ambassador program with the Super Bowl 59?
Sure thing. So for the ambassador program, there's a lot going on with this program. There's a lot of moving parts, and what is most fun about it and what's most challenging about it, quite honestly, is it's a blank slate. So when we started putting this program together a year ago now, essentially it's all right, what are we going to do? What is, back then, a year ago, we were calling it the volunteer program. What is this volunteer program going to be? What are we trying to accomplish? All these things are the questions we're asking ourselves. And so when we kind of thought about it, and the way the volunteer program has evolved from the last time Super Bowl was here to the way it is now, we decided that it's not so much a volunteer program anymore. It's an ambassador program. What we're asking these folks to do is more align with what an ambassador for the city is, more so than what a volunteer does. A volunteer, in a lot of situations, maybe it's wristband checks and helping getting people checked in, things of that nature. But our ambassadors, the ambassador program, we're asking them to actually be ambassadors for the city of New Orleans. We're asking them to be ambassadors for the host committee. All of these folks are going to be spread out all across New Orleans. We're going to have them at the airport. We're going to have them over in the downtown French Quarter area. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be welcoming and greeting all of the thousands of fans who are coming to New Orleans for Super Bowl. So that's the primary function of it. It's really showcasing the hospitality that New Orleans is known for, being that warm, welcoming face when the fans are getting off the airplane, providing that first moment of, wow, this is New Orleans. This is what I expected. This is the culture. This is the hospitality of New Orleans. And that's really what we're asking. We want our ambassadors to really kind of showcase that hospitality and, again, be that warm, welcoming face.
I love that. So tell me more about the impact
of
the program with the city.
Absolutely. So it's a massive impact, quite honestly. The recruitment process was several months long, and we ended up recruiting over 7,000 people.
Wow.
All expressed interest in participating in this program. But the challenge is we just didn't have enough spots for all of these people. There's not enough job functions. There's not enough shifts for 7,000 people. So we actually had to cut that number in half, and we ended up accepting roughly 3,000 people into the program. And so with that, the impact is big for the city and for the Sports Foundation and the host committee, because really what these folks are being is the personification of the host committee into the city. So like our messaging for as a host committee in a lot of ways has been, this is what we do. We host Super Bowls, we host big events. And so we're asking our ambassadors to lean into that messaging and make sure that our fans know that we've hosted 11 Super Bowls, tied for the most out of any other host city. We're making sure that our ambassadors know the history of Super Bowl here in a lot of different ways. We have a lot of fun, creative opportunities to get a little bit more engagement from the fans through the ambassador program too. So I think that's something that's really unique about the program as well.
With the ambassador program, what is the broader goals and the legacy of it past Super Bowl 59?
I think the best part about having a lasting legacy for this program is going to be the impact that it has for years to come. We have, as I mentioned earlier, over 7,000 people who got recruited into this program. And just because they maybe didn't have the opportunity to actually fulfill a role as an ambassador with the host committee, they're still going to have plenty of opportunities to volunteer with the Sports Foundation once the Super Bowl comes and goes. One of the best things about working for the Sports Foundation is the opportunity to work on a number of different events. That's always kind of keeping us on our toes because no year looks the same. This year it's Super Bowl, next year it's going to be a new big event, and the next year it's going to be a new big event. And so, but Super Bowl, what it does, it just brings in so much interest, it gets so much excitement, and it gets these people signed up for volunteer programs for Super Bowl, and then they realize, wait a second, not only did I just sign up for Super Bowl, but I'm having the opportunity to volunteer for these other big events as they're coming down the line in future years as well.
That's amazing. So explain to me, okay, with the ambassador program, what are some of the perks and benefits?
Definitely lots of perks associated with this ambassador program. We've taken a lot of pride in putting together some really cool gear for our ambassadors. So all of our ambassadors, the uniform we think are top notch. All of our ambassadors are getting a nice little jacket, fleece line. It'll protect them from the wind. It'll protect them from the cold. Obviously, Super Bowl's in February, so we've got to make sure our people are comfortable out there. We got to make sure that they look good. But we also have to make sure that the uniforms that we're providing are functional and something that they can be proud to wear. So they're getting a really killer jacket. They're also getting a sweatshirt to pair under it, and we're also getting a long sleeve T-shirt. So for me, one thing I was stressed about 6 months ago when I'm starting to think about uniforms is, as you all know, in New Orleans, February, it can be 72 degrees and 100% humidity, or it could be 20 degrees and blowing outside. So we were trying to put together a uniform that really can be mixed and matched and can be flexible depending on what the weather might be. So if it's very, very cold outside, they'll be able to layer up and bundle up with all the different items. If it's a little bit on the warmer side, they can just wear the long sleeve T-shirt. So that's what I think is the biggest perk of it, is the gear that they're getting. But also, just having the opportunity to represent the city. So many people just see that as the why behind why they're doing this. And yes, the gear is cool, but at the end of the day, they're having a chance to really be the front line of the host committee to the fans as they're getting here. And that's a big perk in of itself, just having the opportunity to represent the host committee.
I mean, it's a definite honor for sure.
Absolutely.
I love that about the outfit changes because, in reality, we know as New Orleanians, it can be really cold in the morning.
Right.
And then a couple hours later, it's hot.
It's so true.
And then it can go cold again.
That's right.
Glad that you covered all the bases with that. I'm sure everyone will be grateful for it.
Absolutely.
So is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, sure thing. One thing that I think that we really did big this year, we had to put some New Orleans flair on the program. So individually, all of our volunteers, they are ambassadors, but collectively, we're making up the crew of New Orleans. And what kind of crew doesn't have Mardi Gras beads, right? So all of our ambassadors, all the folks who are going to be working in the downtown French Quarter area, they're going to be equipped with different Mardi Gras beads. And these different Mardi Gras beads are all commemorative host committee Mardi Gras beads that represent different eras of Super Bowl. So we have 4 different sets of commemorative beads that we're going to be passing out. The first set represents the early years of Super Bowl. The first 3 Super Bowls that were played in New Orleans, as we know, were all played inside Tulane Stadium. So we have a set of beads that kind of represent those early years. And then we have another set of beads that kind of represent the evolution of Super Bowl. As it was going at Tulane Stadium, it was essentially just a championship football game. And then over these next 4 years that New Orleans hosted, the next 4 Super Bowls that we hosted, it went from a championship football game to the super mega event that it is today.
Of course.
And then the last set of beads that we have, the third set, is when the Sports Foundation got involved. So in 1997, the host committee, kind of the traditional Super Bowl host committee, started getting formed. And so that last set of beads represents when the Sports Foundation got involved, kind of the more modern Super Bowl that we've come to know. And so beads by themselves, yes, They're cool. We think they are going to be very collectible. I think the fans are going to be very excited to get them. But we have to take it to the next level. We can't just pass out Mardi Gras beads and call it a day.
Right.
So on the back of these Mardi Gras beads, we have QR codes that are tied to them, and we actually have an ambassador app. So you scan the QR code, and it's going to bring you to a web-based app that we have. And depending on which set of beads that you scan, you're going to be able to get information about those different Super Bowls that are represented on that particular bead.
That's so cool.
So, for example, you'll be able to get information like who the head coaches were in those particular games, maybe who played in the halftime show, what the final score was, of course, who the MVP was. All that kind of fun information will be on this ambassador app because, again, part of the messaging of the host committee has been, this is what we do. We have this incredible legacy of hosting Super Bowl. So we wanted to put together an ambassador program and a volunteer program that reflected that as well. So having the opportunity to share that information on an app is exciting. We think it's going to make it a little bit more engaging for our fans as well. There's also, of course, city maps on there to help fans navigate the city. Sure, we want to tell the story of hosting Super Bowl. We also need it to be functional. We need to make sure that we're informing the fans of all the official Super Bowl events, where they are, when they're taking place, all that kind of fun stuff. So that all that information will be living on the app as well. So one thing too that we're also proud of is it takes away a lot of waste. We're not passing out flyers anymore to kind of get that information across. These beads will be able to accomplish it. And then, with the information on the app, everybody's going to have everything that they need in the palm of their hands.
I mean, how convenient is that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I definitely am that person that's always forgetting the schedules and the maps, and being able to have the app or being able to wear my beads and scan it and then have all that. That's amazing. I will be collecting these. Okay. So I want all 4 of them.
You got it. We got them all right over here for you.
Give it to them all. Well, thank you so much, Craig. I really enjoyed learning about this. I feel like everyone is going to really enjoy the intricate detail from the concept of the beads to the involvement of the ambassador program. It's so cool. I want to be an ambassador. Everyone should be an ambassador. I know there's a list now, but I think that's amazing. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Hey, y'all. I'm here with Leah Brown, chairman of the Ambassador Program presented by Chevron. Leah, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell me about Chevron's role with the Ambassador Program.
So this is a wonderful element of Super Bowl 59. We are sponsoring the Ambassador Program, which essentially is the volunteer component. We have thousands of folks who signed up to be volunteers. This is extremely important when you think about what it takes to really put on and execute this type of event. And we know that New Orleans is a place that is known for hosting. So the primary and first responsibility for our ambassadors is to really be that welcoming first point of contact for our guests as they come into the city. They also will be in a lot of different strategic places, helping inform visitors as they're trying to navigate the different places and spaces that are kind of connected to the event as well as around the city.
So Leah, tell me a little bit more about why Chevron chose to invest in this program and the part of this with the Super Bowl.
Chevron is the human energy company. That makes the volunteer component a very easy area for us to support. It is something that is core to our values. Our employees love to give back. We don't typically have to ask far or long to get them to sign up to volunteer to do things. So it's something that we try to ensure that with all of our sponsorships, we always have an opportunity for employees to be able to plug into the area where they live or they work.
So Leah, are there any unique events that's happening for this particular Super Bowl?
I'm so glad you asked that question. So there will be a Super Bowl parade happening on Saturday morning. Extremely excited about that. It's a great way for folks maybe who have not been to Mardi Gras, but definitely that's something the city is known for. It's a great marriage of Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. And so excited for visitors to be able to come and to participate. That will also be another place that our ambassadors will be activated. So they'll also, of course, be on hand to help during the parade. But that is definitely very unique to Super Bowl 59.
That is going to be fun. I'm going to be there trying to catch a beat. It'll be great. So my next question is, with Chevron leading so many volunteer initiatives, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? What you do in the greater New Orleans region?
Definitely. Being a part of the areas where we live and work is a very key element for our company. So when we talk about being invested in these communities, that means that we are ensuring that we are giving of resources, but also of time. Typically, that's going to manifest in programs that are focused on STEM education, health and wellness, economic development, and environment. I must say STEM education is my favorite, so one that we work with a lot and that we're also activating for Super Bowl events is STEM NOLA. Phenomenal group. They've engaged over 200,000 students in their more than a decade of doing hands-on K-12 STEM education. So it's great to be able to work with groups like them, as well as folks like Hope House, who do phenomenal things in our community all across the state, actually, though they're headquartered on the North Shore. And then, of course, organizations like Second Harvest. Food insecurity is something that, unfortunately, is something that impacts us all across the United States. And when we have disasters and when we don't have disasters, we know that there are individuals that, unfortunately, go to bed hungry. And so allowing places for our employees to volunteer and to give back with these organizations is something that's extremely important to Chevron and key to who we are.
What do you love about being a part of this role?
Super Bowl is interesting. I actually, this is the first time I've been on this side of the game from a company investment perspective and getting an opportunity to work with some of these different components. So I would say that what I've enjoyed the most, it's all of the different parts and pieces. Typically, people see the game. And so if you're home, you're seeing what's produced that you're watching on TV. Of course, the commercials, which we all love. I tune in for commercials and halftime, lots of time, I must admit. But there are so many other elements of the Super Bowl. So in addition to the ambassador program, there are just an unlimited just amount of events, right? We've talked about the parade a little bit. There's something for everyone that's happening during the game. And so, going to likely the Sports Foundation's website is going to be the best place to see all of those different things that people can get plugged into. But I think prior to this, I maybe would have just focused on, the game, and we're going to tune in, what are we going to eat, and not some of those other elements that are going along with it.
There are so many elements behind the scenes that I don't think many people realize, and that's why we're here. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I would offer that individuals belonging to other companies, when we have these large-scale events that come to town, it really is important to ensure that you're getting involved and plugged in and being a part of them from an economic development and from a community impact and outreach perspective. It's extremely important. And if it's not for a large event, even if it's just from the perspective of ensuring that your employees can volunteer, that's something that's very meaningful for companies to engage in.
Leah, that's phenomenal. First of all, thank you so much for being here with us. Again, we're here with Leah Brown, Chairman of the Ambassador Program, presented by Chevron. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
The host committee would like to thank our founding partners, Entergy and Chevron. Our sponsors. Each of these companies plays an integral role in the overall success of the New Orleans Super Bowl host committee. We couldn't do it without you.